Haven't you noticed often that when there's a lot of contention going on, or when there is a lot of trouble moving around you, and you keep pressing on in faith, you keep passing through it, that later, maybe a few days later, you find out that something good happened on your behalf. So while all that commotion or all that noise was going on, there was something good unfolding, or something good unfolded on your behalf. So why was there all that noise? To trap you in a state of anxiety so you wouldn't notice the good that happened on your behalf, so that you would miss out on the good that happened on your behalf. Okay, let me give a small parable to you. Let's say now that it's Texas during the Wild Wild West era. That's in the mid-19th century, after the Spanish Empire left and the Republic of Mexico collapsed and the United States annexed Texas and later the half of the Mexican territory. Let's say that in Texas you have this ranger who just won, not really won, okay, he invested in some trade with the French, and the shipment in which he invested arrived, and now in the state of New York, another ship arrived with the profit for this ranger. Now Texas and New York, for that time to travel between those two places, it took a while. So this ranger is officially from New York. He's not from Texas. So in Texas, they kind of see him as an outsider. He doesn't behave in the same rough way as the other men there do. So then, suddenly, this guy is rich. Why? Because the shipment worked. So now the payment is in New York, awaiting him. So a report has been made, and also several copies of it. One of them are meant for him, all the way in Texas, so that he will know the shipment worked, and you have the right to withdraw $35,000 from the bank in New York. Now that's good news, right? But now, in Texas, you have people working at the postal service, and they found out that the package arrived for this ranger. And it's not permitted, but people at the bank, they checked what was in the package, because it came to the bank first, and they realized, whoa, this guy from New York is rich. And though to a new law by the United States, he was also permitted to withdraw the money in Texas. Now what happened? The bankers over there didn't mind, because they thought that's good, people are doing business. But then they realized, hold on a minute, this guy is an outsider. He's not well received by the Texan community. If now he withdraws thousands of dollars from the banks, he will need to spend it somewhere. And when he begins to spend all that money over here, people are going to turn on him. And besides that, once he withdraws a lot of money, we don't have much money in the banks anymore, because we don't have much money here in Texas. So the bankers had an issue with the report. So now they wanted to prevent him from finding out that he was entitled to $35,000. So the bank began to send bailiffs to him with false reports that he owed $200. And the bailiffs knew that it was a scam, but they kept bothering him. They even began to threaten him. So when all of this was going on, the ranger was thinking, hold on a minute, I don't owe anyone any money. Yet these bailiffs claim that I owe $200 worth of rent, even though you only pay around $3 or $4 per week to stay at an inn. So the ranger was thinking something's quite wrong here. So when he went to the judge to sue the bailiffs, suddenly the bailiff stopped harassing him. And when he had to pay for the fees of the court case where the bailiffs never showed up, normally it's the accused one who needs to pay when they lose, but the accused ones didn't show up. The judge told them, we can withdraw it from your bank account. So he said, that's right. When the people from the judicial officers went to the bank to withdraw the cost of the court case, they found out that this man was entitled to a lot of money. And it's then that the judicial officers as well as the judge understood why the bank was scamming him. They were afraid he would take advantage of that $35,000 because both the population would turn on him and he would have a lot of civil unrest, as well as the banks who were also involved in scams would be exposed. Because if he would withdraw all that money, there wouldn't be much money left in the banks, and then the other people who were involved in the bank will not be able to withdraw money anymore. So because there was an interest in withholding this good news from him, he now was distracted with quote-unquote bad news, which wasn't really bad news, it wasn't actually news, it was just fake news. Now think about this example. That's how the enemy works. He will distract you with fake news so that you won't notice the good news on your behalf. This is what the enemy does to worldly people. Those that aren't born again, that's the grip they're under. They're distracted by all these expectations of society. Politeness, manners, respect. They are, they're shocked with all these expectations. You're growing up, you're an adult now, this and that. Why? So they wouldn't sit down and think and get closer to Christ. Society as a fear construct, it's a fear construct, so it's not from God. Society is designed to keep you away from Christ. That's the purpose. That's why society has all those distractions, where it's bills you need to pay, or Hollywood coming with weird movies, or there's all the pornography out there, all distractions to keep you away from noticing the good news that the Creator has on your behalf. That you have been forgiven. And let me explain forgiveness. Forgiveness in a Christian point of view means that you give without demanding any payment from the one you're giving. The Most High created the universe without asking us later to pay for the universe we're living in. Okay? So He forgave us our existence. So when things went wrong, He already had His provision in mind how to restore us. That is forgiveness. You give before something happens. Okay? So the good news of real forgiveness, the enemy doesn't want you to know that. The enemy wants you to think that forgiveness means that you did something very wrong. Someone is very pissed off and they deserve to smite you, but they don't do it, but now you have to watch out lest they smite you again. That's the meaning that forgiveness has in pagan Christianity. There are some exceptions, but that's what the world thinks forgiveness is. And it's not true. So let's relate this to your daily life. When, because it will happen, when you have a lot of noise around you. I'm not talking about natural noise of the wind or of the birds outside or of people in town doing their daily stuff. When things are malfunctioning around you, your car breaks down, your internet doesn't work even though you've paid it. You have bailiffs harassing you. You have people suddenly turning on you. Or when you send people text messages, they see it but they can't answer it. And it's as if something is blocking them from answering. Whenever you have all these disruptions going on here and there, now sometimes it's the Holy Spirit causing disruption to free you from an evil thing that's coming after you. Okay? But apart from the Holy Spirit, it is a distraction. If it's not the Holy Spirit behind it, it is the enemy attempting to keep something good, something great away from you. And this is also how a distraction of the enemy works. The enemy will come with something good to keep you away from God's best. Okay, let me give a short example. Let's say you have Frederick, and Frederick is from French descent, and he became born again 2 years ago, and he does want to go back to the world because he realized he didn't have anything valuable in the world. So suddenly he meets this French girl who is very kind, well-mannered, and they become engaged. And people are rejoicing for them, and naturally so. And they come with Bible verses saying, whoever finds a wife finds something good. They receive favor from the Lord. So people of the church tell him this. And she's from French descent also. They speak the same French dialect, so he's all happy. So they marry. But later in the marriage, like within 2 years, Frederick realizes that he's often tired. He's drained so often. But he can't figure out why he's drained. Other people around him notice that his wife is complaining all the time, but never looking for any solutions. She's always so emotional, and the husband has to console her all the time. And a lot of people are seeing this as quite unhealthy. So other people understood clearly why Frederick was so tired all the time. And watch this. There was a letter that came to him of a college he attended. When he was at the college, he was a member of the student board, and he was interested in business, doing business with China. Now, the university remembers him, even though he graduated about 4 years ago. They sent him an invitation to some business meeting where Chinese traders would come. Without being aware of it, the people from that university did a good word on his behalf. So they sent him this invitation. Also on social media, they sent an invitation so that he would come. Because when he would come, they already did a good word for him. He would get involved with the traders over there, and he would have many business opportunities, which would bring much wealth to him. And he knew that Frederick was a good guy. He was a guy who wanted to invest in the community. So they know if Frederick prospers financially and materially, he will invest it in a beneficial and responsible way in the community. So people saw this good quality of him. So now they wanted to support him. But look at this. Because Frederick was so drained all the time, he didn't notice the letter, and when he saw it on social media, he couldn't think clear. So he talked to his wife about it, and the wife said, "What are you thinking about China now? What about us? We need to pay bills, this and that." So what happened here? This Frederick had the gift and the ability to generate wealth quickly in order to be a big blessing unto others in need. Demons saw this, and demons didn't want him to walk in his purpose. So the demons wanted to offer him something good to prevent him from walking in God's best for him. So the demons brought him a woman who appeared to be God sent, but she wasn't. She was sent by the paranormal, and she had all these hidden issues that were time bombs. So the demons yoked him with this woman. He perceived her being a gift from God because people around him told him that, because the people around him didn't look at the bigger picture. So now that he's involved with her, he's drained by her, and he can't walk in his purpose. So it is true, it is written in scripture indeed that whoever finds a wife finds something good. Demons know this because demons know scripture far better than any of us. So demons knew if we bring a woman to him who's well-mannered, who even speaks the same dialect as he is, he's going to feel comfortable. And if we provoke those church folks who don't even read the Bible that well, who don't even look at the bigger picture, who don't even have a good prayer life, if we use them to convince them that she's a gift from God, then he will receive her. And once he receives her, he'll be drained by her, and he will miss out on all the business opportunities that will come his way because he is contaminated by guilt, that he's not taking good care of his wife, even though his wife is not sent by God and his wife is a burden and a plague unto him. So in this case, the paranormal distracted you with something good. All I'm saying, that marriage was something good thing, but something that's supposed to be good to keep you away from walking in God's best for you. That's how demons try to hijack you out of your purpose. But a lot of folks, because they don't look at the bigger picture, they don't notice when something is a distraction. So with open finance, the unclean spirits would make you too alert. So they don't always do that. There are times they will come with some potential good thing to you, or something that should be good, but eventually, after you notice that it wasn't a good thing for you at all, it was a trap. Sometimes you do get something good from the demons, but that good will expire, and that good will also only given to you to prevent something far greater from happening. Demons aren't only in causing trouble, they aren't only in causing contention, they also want to prevent as much good from happening as possible. That's why when there's greater good that's about to happen, they will come with their counterfeit or smaller goods, so that people will get attached to the smaller goods or the perceived goods instead of embracing the real goods. The lasting good will come. So if you have a benefit or an empowerment that will last for generations, the enemy will come with something that lasts for a decade or that lasts for 5 years. And that's what the enemy often does with people. It can be a job opportunity. The demons know that once you get a job, you will be trained after 3 years, and in the 8th year, you have a burnout, you'll end up in a hospital, and you'll be unemployed. They know that that's their trap. So it will only go good for 3 years. But let's say you had the potential to build something that will last for generations. Now the demons were able to rob others from something good because they offered you something that lasts only for 3 years. While you could have something that would have lasted for let's say maybe 100 years. So that's why I told you to look at the bigger picture. Not everything that glitters is gold. So always look at the context whenever there's noise around you, or there's like something good something that appears to be good that keeps pushing on you. Look at the context. Look at the context, please. Well, that's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.